Guys, let's get started on my journey through high caliber dating. I have just started my certification in relationship and dating coaching. I really want to bring luxury dating into what I already have in my programs, but really, I love teaching, revolutionizing the relationship that you have with yourself and setting high standards for yourself. So those high standards show up in your friendships and your relationships, but particularly in dating. In my early 20s, I was a waitress working in a costume store. And I met this older man, and he was in my life platonically, 1000% platonically for many years. And he taught me about meditation when I had bulimia. He sent me on Olivia Newton-John's retreat to try and work through my bulimia, which obviously worked for a few days. And then my subconscious kicked in, and I went straight back to what I knew and how to numb. And he introduced me to meditation. He up-leveled my life. He up-leveled my standards. So all of these petty artist DJs that I was dating, these fuckboys who wouldn't show up for me, they no longer touch the sides. I had a very thriving DJ career. This person helped me go to music production school. 1 year later, I took the safety and security that he provided me, and I took that and I created myself my dream DJ career. Within 1 year, I was signed to one of the biggest agencies in Melbourne. Packed up my life and moved to Melbourne, which he helped me with. I started making really good money and traveling the world. Valentine's Day 8 years ago, I met someone online who lived in Barcelona, and he flew me to Barcelona for Valentine's Day. Katie Valentine, Valentine's Day. And through this trip, this man opened doors for me. He took me on 5 of the most incredible dates. Every single night in Barcelona, I had to be ready at 6. And he took me on all of these beautiful dates, which I have gone on to take my lovers through over the years. And I came back to Australia, and I realized the hole that I had dug for myself. I was really, really depressed. My bulimia was out of control. And I didn't fall in love with him. I fell in love with Barcelona. On the 5th day of my trip, one of his friends passed away, and he had to travel back to America. And he gave me the keys to his beautiful central apartment, and I walked around Barcelona for 2 days straight, all day, and I fell in love with this city. And I went home and I sold everything that I owned, and I moved over there to start a new life. This man, who is still in my life today, he takes care of my cat when I'm traveling. This man up-leveled my nervous system and showed me what it was to be treated right, to be treated like a woman. And I was only 26 years old, and this completely up-leveled me. As I started to do the shadow work, as I went celibate for 7 months when I lived in Bali during COVID, I packed up my life. I was living in Lisbon at the time. I moved to Bali. I set myself up in a villa, and I started my business, and I went celibate. I didn't even hug a man for 7 months. And I felt that I went inside and I really cleared out, being a female DJ. I've been touched in places I didn't want to be touched. I've made really bad decisions in low self-worth. I've had men manipulate me into thinking that they were going to help me out until I got older and I realized that, I'm responsible for my own career. But I did get sucked into some big DJs promising me these things, and I slept with people I shouldn't have. So I did this big clear out. And I started setting high standards for myself. And just after COVID, I got into a relationship with someone in the French Riviera. And it was my first time being in a really safe relationship, and my nervous system didn't know how to handle it. So what did I do? I tried to sabotage it. And this person met me with such unconditional love that in that time, I regulated my nervous system. I realized what it was to be loved. I went and I took a look under the hood of all of my beliefs around men, and I completely up-leveled in this relationship. We ended up parting ways. I evolved a lot in that relationship. We became stagnant. We're still great friends to this day. I'm going to be talking a lot more about this relationship in another video. But the reason I wanted to tell you this today is because I believe that it is so important. Shadow work is what I stand by. In my High Value Woman program, in week 1, I teach you all about shadow and inner child work. You can use shadow work, and I always say, don't open all your jam jars at once. Look under the hood of your limiting self-beliefs about you. Then you can look under the hood of the beliefs that you develop from your parents. Then you can come over here and you can take a look at what beliefs do I hold around men and dating, and how does that keep showing up in my world? Because the number one thing that people really fucking hate to hear from me is you are the common denominator in all of your experiences. So when I found that I was getting ghosted, or I found that I was chasing after these men who couldn't commit to me, who couldn't show up for me, it was because there was a part of me that needed that to feel validated, and it felt safe. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We prefer to stay in a familiar chaos than go into what can be beneficial for us. I wanted to stay in my familiar chaos when I got into this safe relationship with this beautiful millionaire in the French Riviera. But I allowed myself to take a look under that hood. I did the subconscious work. I worked with my hypnotherapist. I did all of the work that I teach you in week 1. And I reprogrammed my beliefs. So now, as I exited that relationship, I started to set higher standards. This man set the bar so high. So my takeaway for you is, what beliefs do you have around men? What is the common denominator in your experiences with men? When do you first remember having these types of experiences with men? I didn't have my dad until I was 13 years old. That definitely left some daddy issues in my subconscious. Taking a look under the hood of your beliefs, and how can you reprogram them? How can you set new standards? The fear that we have when we set standards is, I will get rejected, I will be abandoned. So when you create this unshakable confidence within you, you won't care if anyone abandons you, because you no longer abandon yourself. My High Value Woman program is the absolute ultimate space for you to up level. In week 1, I teach you shadow and inner child work, but I also give you my science-backed process on how to create an entirely new version of self in 28 days, because it takes 28 days to create new neural pathways. And these tools that you take away from this, you get my High Value Woman morning routine as well. In week 2, I teach you how to set standards and boundaries like a high value woman. I teach you how to communicate to the masculine, because the masculine are programmed differently to us. How to activate them in a way that allows them to step into their masculine and provide for you in whatever way that looks like. In week 3, I teach you how to align your life with your cycle, and not just all the stuff that they teach you on Google, but to really utilize your human design and your cycle. You are a woman, you are a cyclical being. If you don't learn how to utilize your cycle, you're going to get in the burnout cycle, which I talk about a lot over on Instagram. We do a full body healing. If you are like me, a few years ago, I felt really strong everywhere else in my body, but I had this bloat, and it was my body trying to protect me because I had all of this stuff down trauma. So yeah, we can do all of the subconscious work, but we have to do the somatic work as well. So I take you through a full-on healing in week 3. Week 4, I teach you about values, how to identify your values and how to create a life in alignment with them, and my exact manifestation formula. Got lots of bonuses like how to manage money like a high value woman. I've got scripts in there. I've got all kinds of bonuses. You get access to my 3-hour metamorphosis retreat with 2 of my most potent healers. It is one of my greatest creations and my biggest wish in this world. And a couple of my lovers have said this to me as well. Like, can you get every woman to please do this program before they date me? Because when you are good with yourself and you create unshakable self-esteem within, the whole world rises to meet you. And I want this for every single woman.